Hi guys, welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Leanne.
And I'm Jermaine.
And we're sorry again that we weren't with you last week. Jermaine wasn't very well.
Yeah, look, I'm really excited to be back today, right? This is my favourite part of the week, where we get to do the podcast. You can probably hear the coughing in the background. So it's not just me who's unwell, but also our little boy. And he's getting ready to cough for England over there. Yeah. So we should really introduce Theo as well. And when he's better, we will do, definitely.
Yeah, we should bring him on one day.
100%.
So now that you're better, we're back and we're ready to go. And what we wanted to talk about today was mindset and how actually your mindset can have a big impact on different areas of your life. And in particular, your kind of financial journey and any financial goals that you want to go after. Actually, it really helps go after those and actually believe that you can reach them. If you have a positive mindset.
100%. And look, guys, you know how we always look at these things. At this point of time in our lives, there are a lot of different stresses and challenges that we're all kind of facing. And the reality is that we need that really strong mindset to help us get through. We need those coping mechanisms. And it doesn't really matter what it is you do, but your mindset is what really helps you adapt. So, for example, trying to do a podcast as well as trying to work, as well as trying to supervise this guy who's just down there, you know, it requires a kind of mindset that keeps you in balance. And you want to make sure you hit everything with enough energy as well. So that mindset is a bit of a coping mechanism, it's a bit of a shield, but it's also key to your strategy because it's what helps you drive forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And when I think about positive mindset in terms of going after my goals, it is what keeps you driving forward, but it's also that what gives you that strength at the beginning to set those challenging goals for yourself and actually believe that you can reach them. And so you may actually aim for something a bit higher than you otherwise would do if you weren't thinking so positively.
Yeah, but I think, Leanne, look, why don't we just jump in and quickly try and make this practical?
Okay.
Because I think anyone who's with us on this journey understands the theory about why we think mindset is so important. But the thing that I always kind of feel, and increasingly feel it with every day that goes by, is the challenges that we all face in our real lives, they increase. Yeah. Or they evolve. And we need to continue to be really practical about how we try and face up to them. So tell me what's on your mind, and let's get practical. You take us into the detail because you're better at that than me.
So I think what's on my mind at the minute, and it's something that I am actually working on sorry, just taking on a little something that I am actually working on at the minute is just making sure that I go back to basics in terms of my mindset, and that is reminding myself of all the positive things that I can do, all the positive things that I have done. And actually what I'm going to do, and what I suggest anybody else does, is actually write them down, remind yourself of those things, and they are what are going to keep you going. And it could be anything, those things that you really like about yourself, that really gives you that kind of motivation, that real kind of self-esteem boost. Write them down, remind yourself of them, and just realise you're doing a good job.
Yeah, and guys, I think they're like two really important angles that for me have been really important on what Leanne has said, right? So one is we need to kind of level set ourselves personally. So, you know, to Leanne's point then, yeah, you know, you write down the good things that you are doing in your lives in order to make sure you are coping as best as you can in the current environment, and you're trying to set yourself up. And if you look, for example, at the podcast we did a couple of weeks ago about how to achieve your goals in 2020 and how to finish strong, that's exactly the kind of thing is about how to set yourself mentally and spiritually and physically and emotionally, right? But I think then you can also look at some very specific things that you're doing in your life. So we're looking at coming to the end of the furlough period, for example, and there's still a little bit of uncertainty about how people are managing their domestic budgets and economies. We are seeing a greater level of business failure, and so people have got more question marks over the longevity of their jobs and what the kind of next few months looks like. We're just seeing increasingly different challenges. So it's not just about level setting mentally, but you've got to apply that to real life situations, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. I think we're living in such an uncertain time. Isn't it? Everything you said is just everything is uncertain at the minute. So that's what we're living through.
100%.
So what things would you do?
In terms of what specifically?
So in terms of what would you be doing, say right now, if you want to kind of get your mindset in a positive place and to go towards your financial goals?
Well, look, guys, I just think, right, there's a real practicality that we've got to have when it comes to assessing ourselves right now. Okay, so if you just think real basic level, everyone needs to like run their households. Okay, so when you run your household, you will be able to do an assessment of where you stand in terms of your domestic budget. You'll have a view of where you are in terms of your income, whether or not you feel it's protected, how resilient you think your income is, how much at risk you think your income is, and you've got to make that kind of judgment, right? That's on an income front. On an expenses front, I'd be looking, and we've been saying it for quite a while now, is to revise and reduce your expenses, because your expenses are the single biggest way of giving yourself more net money in your pocket.
Yeah.
And that net money in your pocket lets you do the things you need to do, or it gives you protection for the things that may come up. Right?
Yes.
So when we look at, say, things like emergency funds, and we talk about having, say, 6 months of expenses or whatever it is people may want to choose to have, the easiest way to kind of focus your money and redistribute it is by getting your expenses under wrap. So I'll be looking at those kind of things, you know, what's my income outlook, where are my expenses taking me, and getting those things under control. Those are the first fundamental things I would do.
If I can pick up on what you've said and kind of then give something else that I've been thinking about, it seems like what you're talking about here is knowledge. You need to understand your situation and kind of take some time to think about your situation in the current environment, but also actually go back to your budget.
Yeah, and I think, right, we talk about knowledge, but it is knowledge, but sometimes when we talk about knowledge building, right, it can feel kind of inaccessible. And I've had this conversation before where it feels like a little bit daunting for the other person to think, oh, knowledge building, man, I've got to commit loads of time and energy and effort and I don't really know where to start. Guys, I'm saying to strip it right back to basics, which is the point you made a little bit earlier. Just have a look at your bank statement. Have a look at your bank statement and truly understand, what do you get paid? What do you spend? What is the difference? And work towards making sure you reduce what you spend, and if you can, increase what you get paid, but as a minimum, know that it's flat. Keep it simple, and you know you will see a difference. One of the reasons I think that doing this kind of assessment is so important is because this is one of the big mistakes a lot of people make before in preparation for looking after their money. They don't spend enough energy and attention on looking at what is right in front of them. So when you think about how to become a millionaire, immediately you might look and think, oh, well, I need to go and earn X amount of money over X amount of years. But becoming a millionaire, it really isn't it's not just about what you earn. There are lots of people who actually earn very modest amounts of money, but they're millionaires through a very good combination of prudence and investing.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? They haven't had to go and necessarily earn loads and loads and loads and loads of money. So it's really possible. So I think that's the kind of understanding you need to have. You don't need to make the job any harder than it is, but look at the bank statement. Start there. And I think that's a big enabler, and it will help you avoid crucial mistakes.
Yeah, it's very true. I'm just trying to think about if there are any other kind of crucial mistakes that we may want to avoid at the minute. And one of the things that I'm thinking about here is just not, like you said, invest the time in understanding your bank statements, go back to basics and things like that. Mm-hmm. But also thinking about those ad hoc spending, which may not be in your bank statements and things like that, but we're at home, we're in lockdown, we kind of think, oh, you know, I'll get this to make myself more comfortable, or I'll buy this because I kind of want to enjoy myself.
Sure.
Kind of giving yourself that, think twice before doing those things. It's not saying don't have fun and don't buy the things that you want, but I'm just think do it consciously and think about it.
100%. Guys, for me, the most powerful mental model, for myself, this I believe is my most powerful mental model, is I look at a lot of situations and imagine, what would it be like if I were reading about this thing in 20 years' time? That is the most powerful mental model I think I use. Because I look at 2020 as a year where, when my son is older, when he's studying and he picks up a book, if he's doing a history degree and he picks up a book, he will look at that book and probably 2020 will go down in history as one of the most seminal years, most incredible, world-changing years, most bizarre years, most change the course of human history type of years. Yeah. And when you believe that, and I really believe it, it has a very big impact on how you manage yourself day to day. Because the reality is that if you truly believe it's going to be such a seminal year, you've got to be changing how you act. You would never just do all the normal things. You would never just allow yourself to slip into bad behaviours. You should be behaving in a way that prepares you for the biggest year in your life. Because it's like to be one of the most ridiculous years any of us face in our lifetimes. I mean, talking to relatives, a good example is that when I talk to relatives who are 70 years old or approaching 70, none of them can think of a more crazy year than this particular year. So it shows you that in an average lifetime, 70 is a little bit lower than the average life expectancy in this country. In an average lifetime, this year stands out. Well, if you think for those of us who are younger than 70, it's still very much the case that this could still be the most ridiculous year that we ever have in our lives.
It's true.
So we have to behave in the most different way.
It's a good point, and I think one of the key things that I've taken from what you've said is about having perspective. Mm-hmm. That we're living through this time right now, but this is going to be a period in our history, in everyone's lives, but it's not going to last forever, hopefully. And so you don't want to be doing things now actually that are going to impact you kind of negatively much further down the line, when actually you could just be thinking about, right, it's got this period of time, but kind of how do I want to be when we get out of this period of time?
100%. And look, guys, we know that a lot of us in any situation, and we see particularly, for our listeners and viewers who are kind of at the 16 to 24 stage, we understand sometimes we want to get things instantly. Yeah. But increasingly, right, that kind of instant gratification is what they call it, is something that we associate with people of any kind of age, any kind of demographic, right? But look, guys, that's fine. It's not really like it's not really a big issue in the sense that we all make the choices that we feel are right for the lives that we lead, and none of us are here to judge that. But there is a reality, which is that if we are facing the most insane year that we've ever seen in our lifetimes, we should be challenging ourselves to behave a little bit differently. So put certain things on hold. We don't know what the future looks like, so no one knows if spending all the money you don't have and running up loads of credit is a good or bad thing. But you can make the conscious choice, as you've said, Leanne, you can make the conscious choice to just simply behave differently in a way to try and test yourself and evolve yourself differently, right? So if you want to take this year, if you are in a position where you are furloughed or you have got any uncertainty in your job, now's the time to retrain. In years gone by, you may not have actively retrained, but Google have got online training courses you can go and do. Job centres offer you online training courses. You could sit on YouTube for 8 hours a day, and I'm promising you can learn more than you've ever learned through any kind of formal schooling by going through with the right YouTube educators. And if you're not sure who they are, drop me a message, leave it in the comments, and we'll tell you. Look, even little Theo's over there nodding, and because he understands that's where a lot of education and learning comes from. Right, so actively doing that and committing that time is important. If you find that you've put on a bit of weight during the lockdown, go and start exercising. Get out and run every day. Do 100 press-ups, 100 sit-ups and 100 squats every day. And within a short period of time, you will be a lot fitter. It's pushing ourselves to do the things that we weren't doing before.
It's true.
I
completely agree with you. And I just think to myself, from what you've said, how I would go about kind of doing this is I would think to myself, right, this is me now. I'm in this situation. How do I want to be, no matter what is going on? How do I want to be in the next 3 months, 6 months, that kind of thing? And that can be kind of really motivating. Yeah. And get you focusing on the positives and what is right for you as an individual.
100%. And guys, I would just say, look, set yourself small, simple targets, right? So for 3 and 6 months, Leanne says that because she's been training herself to do that for a while now. And so that feels more normal. But, if you've not done this kind of stuff before, guys, set yourself a target in like a week's time where you might look and say, I'm just going to start doing something consistently for a week and see how you get on. And once you've done it for a week, jump on this podcast and put a note in the comments and say to us, guys, I've been trying this for a week, or email us and say, guys, I've been trying this for a week. This is how I've got on. How do you think I could evolve the approach, change the approach, or whatever it may be? You know, guys, repetition, consistency, and trial and error is how you build skills. It's not getting it right first time.
Oh, no.
No one does. The amount of mistakes I make is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But in many respects, it's not about having only one attempt at something and then having to get it perfect or get it wrong. You know, I think you can easily have 100 attempts at something, get half of them all right and get half of them wrong. It doesn't matter. You've still taken 50 shots.
It's true, we have a whole life.
Yeah, of course.
We have a whole life, and we hope that we're all here till we're, like Jermaine was saying, typical life expectancy at the minute is like 80 odd or something like that. So you have a whole lifetime
But that's really
to learn
important.
and to make mistakes. And
That's really important. I mean, like, look,
kind of
even
thing.
now, I'm going to get up and go and give my son a yogurt because at the end of the day, sometimes you need to just try different things and you need to be able to adapt, right? And it's really important. But I think, guys, when you're there and you're actually looking at the different decisions you're making and the different things that you're doing, there are going to be a lot of choices you're making at this time, some really interesting ones. So when you're there and you're, say, in that 16 to 24 kind of age, you may have a job already. And you may have been previously in the habit of earning and spending. Now's a great time to start earning and investing, earning and saving, doing those two kind of things, and just set yourself very small, simple targets. And I promise you, if you drop it in the comments or drop us an email at avoidingbroke@gmail.com, I'll be very happy to personally give you a view on how you could maybe get started. Or if you're a little bit older and you say you're quite established in your job, again, you may still be in the earning and saving kind of bracket, but start learning about investing.
Yeah.
And there's no one way of doing anything, right?
no, most definitely.
No one way,
There isn't no one way.
but just find out, you know, start learning. Even if you didn't want to go and start putting your own investments out there directly, so as in just investing on your own, just investing on your own without any guidance, have a look at where your pension is invested. So you could, for example, if you've got a pension at any kind of employer and that pension is managed, they would have invested your money in whatever at the beginning of this year. Have a look and see where they're investing that money now, for example. And have a look, give somebody a call, or find out why you think they could have made those kind of decisions about where to move your assets. You're going to start learning, guys. You're going to start learning. You know, I used to have people in managing all this stuff. I thought, and then I started learning. I thought, sod it, I'll just do it myself. And so now, you know, we manage these things ourselves, and we make calls that we think give us protection or can give us more upside. Dad is coming. You come. You know, and we make those calls, and ultimately we've still got things that we're working for. You know, we're working for our own retirement, our options. You can see our little boys there, and we're trying to figure out how to integrate him into our normal lives. And we take on an element of risk.
Yes.
There's going to be an element of reward with it, hopefully. And guys, these are things you can consciously start doing now. And if you're a little bit older, if you're north of 30, which we absolutely are, and you may have a much bigger asset base and you may have much bigger goals, now is a great time to think about how to really go about achieving those goals. There are opportunities. So for example, you know, a lot of us at the minute are talking about, in terms of protecting our assets, we're talking about investing in things like commodities and in things like Bitcoin to give us a little bit of insurance. I've been very honest about the fact that I've sold a lot of my equity positions and have liquidated it, and basically I'm holding a lot more cash because I just don't want to have a lot of the stock market risk, because I've got stock market risk with a pension, so I don't want it with a lot of our personal investments, and Leanne's done quite similar. We invest separately, by the way, but we always talk, but we do invest separately. But you know, that's something that we're kind of making in terms of protecting ourselves. In terms of actually trying to get some more upside, well, what are we talking about? We talk about property a lot.
We do talk about property in different areas of the country and what we want to
Absolutely.
get out of property and these kind of things.
100%, and that gets to be quite a complex subject, and we'll very quickly do some more videos on that. But we talk about property, and that could be a really good investing opportunity. Now, do you invest now? Is there going to be a property slump kind of at the back end of this year, early next? I'm not too sure. I think there will be. But it doesn't really matter. It's what you choose to educate yourself on. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of our upside, is the property investing. So I need to be saving a lot to make sure I've got money to invest, and I need to be tracking what's happening to make sure I try to make a move at the best time I can with the best information I can. And that for me is how you start getting proactive
Yes.
in this kind of time, you know?
Definitely. And one thing that I wanted to add is that if you're there and you're thinking, yep, that all sounds great, but I have no idea where even to begin, I haven't thought about this before or anything like that, then I would say watch our videos on Avoiding Broke. We try and cover some of this stuff, but also there is a wealth of information out there on YouTube, and you could just Google something like investing for beginners, personal development for beginners, those kind of things. Whatever you are interested in learning a bit more about, then you could just Google it and you'll see different opinions. You'll find some things that you think, oh, okay, do you know what, that resonates with me, I'm going to keep watching that, or I like the way that person talks about these things. Keep watching. We're so lucky in this time that we have the internet and the wealth of information out there, so use it.
100% with you on that. So look, guys, I think what would also be good just to build on that is if you have got anything in particular you're interested in, why don't you just drop it in the comments below, and then we will share with you what we think is our favourite kind of, say, YouTube channel that covers the kind of information you're looking at. We should be able to do that for quite a broad range of topics. But look, guys, I think this is a good place to leave it. I'm nicking your line now.
My line, no, that's a wonderful place to leave it.
Well, it's a good place to leave it, I think, primarily because my son's currently putting a yogurt on his head and deciding to try and wear it as a hat. But guys, look, this is really the kind of funny situation that I think underpins and encapsulates a lot of what we're doing here on Avoiding Broke. We are trying to work together with you as part of our community in a really uncertain time, and we are having just to roll with the blows. So some weeks you're really fit and able and it's perfect. Other weeks you're not well. On other weeks you've got an unwell son who decides that he wants to wear a yogurt, and you've got to work through it. You don't know what life is going to throw at you. And guys, what we try and do again with you as our community is we are looking at ways to weather this storm and to really try to achieve something positive for ourselves and our communities at this really unpredictable time. So it's all about.
That is definitely what it's all about, guys. So we really hope you've enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, thank you for bearing with us through the coughing and through all the randomness. Randomness is what makes us a lot stronger and a lot tougher in this world. Yeah. How we deal with the randomness is a big thing. We're proud of what we're trying to do, and we're really proud of all of you for sticking with us and for contributing and for what you're trying to do as well, man. It's all what it's all about.
It definitely is. So guys, if you want more content like this, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell button so you know when we release a new video. You can also get in touch with us across the social media platforms at Avoiding Broke. And
all of it's linked down in our description section as well. We've put all the links in there as well.
Leave us a comment if there's anything you want to tell us or you want to ask us a question.
100%.
Whatever you want to do.
And until then, guys, make sure you just please look after yourselves, right? Really take care of your health. Obviously, we're going into flu season, and there's I think a funny virus going around at the minute. So just look after yourselves. Look after your families as well, because I know this is a really tough time for everybody. Oops. And I think on that note, time for us to go.
Yes.
See you later on, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.